Time now for the voice of the land on the Big Play Network with your hosts, Kevin Arnold and Always Positive Jay.
You know what's fun? It's fun on a Sunday of NFL football to just tune in, maybe watch Red Zone or other games that might be on in your network and watch absolute blunders of plays. And it's not your team. It doesn't affect you at all because your team plays on Monday night in front of the world. Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot. But we'll get into that and much more here tonight. This is usually your Browns post-game show, but since they're playing on Monday nights, we are your Browns preview show this week here on the Big Play Network. This is the Voice of the Land. I am Kevin Arnold, joined as always Positive Jay, and our producer extraordinaire on the other side of a computer screen, behind the proverbial glass, or somewhere in the stratosphere. Whatever Jarvis was to Iron Man, audio is to the Voice of the Land. He is Peter Tellup. We are brought to you by Vector Technical to get the right person in the right job the first time. And, of course, streaming on Big Play and Voice of the Land social media pages. Also can be heard on Google, Spotify, and Apple throughout the week with the audio. And we'll post clips on our YouTube channel at Voice of the Land Podcast. Jay, how was your Sunday without having to deal with a Browns game and the Browns to?
It was so relaxing. I got my side doors put in today. I took a nap. I woke up from the nap and I wasn't mad about a game or nothing. The Sunday fun suckers didn't get me today because they just couldn't.
Hey, the squad, I'm wearing the crest on my chest. Man United, my football team came through today, 1-0 over West Ham. So creeping up on the table, they're still outside the top four, would get you a Champions League berth. If you don't know what the Champions League is, it is the ultimate tournament of all European club teams that you always want to be in. The top four in the Premier League. Those top teams at the end get a berth in the next year's Champions League. Right now, of course, since they ended in the between 5 to 8 last year, I can't remember exactly which spot they were in, but they are in the Europa League. So it's kind of just like in the Premier League, you have the Championship League, which is like the next tier down of teams of talent trying to vie their way up into the Premier League again. In England, they are the Red Devils of Manchester United are in the Europa League, so they're doing well in that tournament too. Only 4 games left for them before the World Cup break. We're going to be talking World Cup on here too, because if the Browns keep doing what they've done all year, if they do something like they've done all year and on national television when everybody's watching, because all the sports bettors that can actually bet are tuning into the game, and they do it on national television, we're going to be finding a whole nother thing to talk about here on the Voice of the Land as we are working on getting our guest on later tonight. We will be joined in the next segment by Andy Billman, who of course directed Believeland and has a new documentary coming out on November 15th. We've heard a lot about this. We've kind of heard rumblings about it. I'm
unreal excited about all of this. I can't believe it. Like, I'm a huge Andy Billman fan. Believeland is probably my favorite sports documentary. I've seen it, I don't even know how many times. It literally will make me tear up at the end every time.
The first cut in April of 2016 or the second cut?
The second cut. Okay. The second cut is what it's all about, man. Because that's when I get all choked up. I'm like, I ain't going to do it. It's got me again. I'm all in my feelings.
Yeah, so we'll let Jay get more into his feelings when Andy comes on, and we'll be joined by Andy Billman in just a little bit. We'll talk some other Cleveland sports. But again, no Browns game today. Jay, it feels like do or die right now for this season.
Feels like it is do or die right now.
Going into Monday Night Football, and after that game, you have your bye week. You're either going to be 2-6 or 3-5, and neither one of those records looks good at all. But you feel a little bit better beating the Bengals, who got off to the 0-2 start, have played better of late. That offense is churning. Of course, they will not have Jamar Chase, but they still have great wide receivers. All the Browns fans or being actual fanatics saying that without Jamar Chase, like the Browns are going to win this.
Higgins and Boyd are no joke. Those are really, really good receivers. And either one of them might be our number one if they're on our team right now.
And we keep it real on the show so that Joe Burrow is that dude. T. Higgins can ball.
Oh, Joe Burrow's rolling now.
Tyler Boyd can ball, and they have other playmakers on that field, and a defense that hasn't played well all year, been one of the worst in the NFL all season in the Cleveland Browns. It's going to be a tough test tomorrow night.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, trust me, it helps with Chase out because Chase is their huge big play guy. But Tyler Boyd can go deep and so can Higgins, but Chase is the game changer. But I don't know if we still even have Ward. Like we got guys down all over the place.
He's already been ruled out.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm nervous about this game, Kevin, and everyone keeps saying, "Oh, we own Joe Burrow. We own Joe Burrow. We own Joe." Like every year is different, and you don't think that's bothering him? You don't think he hears that the Browns own him, the team that he grew up rooting for owns him now? Oh, he's coming with the bib on. I promise you that.
Yeah.
I hope I'm wrong.
He's definitely coming for that. The offense is going to have to be the catalyst tomorrow, and it's going to have to be the catalyst all the way through. They're going to have to carry this team if they're going to win tomorrow night. And yes, they are 2-5, and Cincinnati, I believe, is 4-3. Just because Cincinnati's over 500 doesn't mean the Browns can't win. It's just, it's been a season long of so much talent continuing the long legacy since 1999 of the Browns franchise, the reincarnation of the franchise, where they find and redefine what it means to lose in the NFL.
I got nothing, Kevin.
I've made Jay absolutely speechless on a show where you have to talk for an hour. So I'm glad Andy Billman is coming on, and we don't just have to talk back and forth. Because
I'm not gonna lie, I was trying to send him a message trying to get this figured out. So I wasn't listening.
And I'm just trying to share our show so that people see it, because I know that Andy's gonna want to talk about, and we definitely want to talk about, but we don't want to give too much away of the new documentary that's going to be coming out, because we're big baseball fans, and from my side, from my family, and now my extended family. With
Kevin, you were married in a baseball field.
So baseball means a little something to me, just a little, so we're really looking forward to having him come on, but we got to talk through.
We got to talk about these Browns.
We got to talk about these Browns.
We just got to talk it through, I guess.
We're fulfilling a responsibility on the show.
Now, does Myles Garrett show up in a costume again this year?
If he does and they lose, it's going to be,
it's
going to be a bad look. I mean, the fact that trust me, and we'll get into this later. Like, I love Halloween decorations, and I love the people that get into Halloween, and the people that do decorate Myles Garrett's house. They do a great job every year. And I understand, like, the graveyard, using Halloween as All Hallows Eve and ghouls and goblins and stuff like that, using that to kind of make a joke in a way of, I've sacked all these quarterbacks, or my main job is to come at these quarterbacks. Cavs only up 3 at half, 62-59 over the New York Knicks. Just got that update. If anybody's tuning here and not tuning into the Cavs game, we're not able to because you haven't gotten the access to Bally Sports just yet. Don't worry, Wednesday night against the Celtics, where they just beat them. And we'll talk about the Cavs a little later as well. They're on ESPN on Wednesday night. So if you got any sort of streaming cable service and you get ESPN, you'll be able to see the Cavs if you haven't yet this year and you haven't paid for that subscription, which I
kind of cross my fingers that my ticket hookup comes through for that Wednesday game.
Nice.
Oh, I'd love to go to that.
Oh, you're trying to get tickets to it, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Hey.
Can't tell you from who, but at least on the mic, I can't tell you who.
I mean, I'll either be watching that game at home, or I might be in Boardman for Wycliffe boys soccer, who just won the district championship.
Oh, congrats to them.
First time since 2006. You know who was on that team in 2006? Oh, this guy.
Oh, yeah.
Only the second time in program history did they win a district championship. And last time we did it, it was a pretty good run. So I think this team with 17 seniors has a good chance to continue to make a run. They gotta face off against a state power, and Youngstown Cardinal Mooney, who we know is like a power in a lot of different sports, but soccer is always one of them too. So, but also shout out to the girls program too. A lot of girls that I coached when they were younger, they made it to the district championship. They lost in double overtime. They played. Listen to this, guys. Am I avoiding talking about the Browns right now? Sure. I don't care. I'll talk soccer. I'll talk Wycliffe soccer all day long. I don't care if nobody knows.
Well, I got a way to wrap this all up.
Okay. They were in the district championship, and this past week, they had a district semifinal at Kirtland, and they hadn't won in 16 games against Kirtland in 16 tries, and they faced off in the regular season and the playoffs a lot. And we know Kirtland's a state power as well. They've won state championships recently. Ed Braddock is one of the brightest coaches of student athletics here in Northeast Ohio that doesn't get talked about enough. And Kirtland is fortunate to have so many good coaches over there. High school football too, with Tiger Laverty as well. And so they're at a field that doesn't have any lights, and they got to play at 4:30. Well, that's all well and good, but at this time of the year, the sun goes down, and if you're in the playoffs, you have to have a winner. So you're good. Like, overtime is still a potential. 2 overtime periods, 15 minutes each, after you played 2 40-minute halves. Then PKs are still in play if no one scores in the sudden death overtime periods. So they had to go and start the second overtime the next day. So in like a 2-day span, they play like 105, 110 minutes of soccer. And they, couple injuries. They were down a little bit in terms of available bodies to play. And so like everybody is worn out. So after they win and they finally beat Kirtland, which that is a huge accomplishment, a huge successful season in itself. They go into the district championship just a day later down in Richfield, and they go into double overtime again. In a 4-day span, 3 out of those 4 days, they played a total of 205 minutes of soccer. And it took a miraculous shot in like the upper corner that no goalie's going to get. Defenders, it just curled into the net. One of those world-class goals you see me retweeting all the time on Twitter. It took that to beat them. Like, hats off to the entire Wycliffe soccer program and the way that it continues to build throughout. Love my community, love soccer, and I will shout them out at any time.
So basically, all these teams we like, and your hometown team, Cavs, Guardians, everybody's winning except for one team.
Yeah, there's only one team in this area that we root for, that I root for, that continues to find ways to lose instead of finding ways to win and build successful programs.
Now, I said when we talked earlier before the show, what do we want to name the show? I said maybe a Cleveland Cavalanche. Why was I saying that? These Cavs are coming out on fire, and they're just so exciting to watch. Donovan Mitchell is an absolute beast. The Guardians are coming off a hell of a run that they weren't even supposed to be on.
And Tristan McKenzie on World Series coverage is saying, like,
he's coming.
They're already talking about how hungry they are. Like, not even about.
They got a taste for it. Like I said, that experience is what they needed. Now they really, really want it. And after what was a controversial move with this quarterback, and that split the fan base a lot, but they're losing. And if he comes in and they don't start winning, I'm going to tell you that this town that's known as a football town will start to shift, I believe, because people like you're a younger guy. Mm-hmm. The younger guys at your work are mostly younger. Those kids, they all grew up watching LeBron James, and they grew up watching crappy football.
Yep.
And I wonder if it's going to ever change the psyche. Like, I love football the best. It's my favorite sport. I love all the teams the same. Mm-hmm. But I could watch football. It doesn't matter who's playing. I could just sit there and watch football, like how you were at soccer.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what the Browns are holding on to right now, is everyone's love for football in this town, because it is a football town. It was born in this town, and they better get a hold of themselves. And I can't wait to see Andy's reaction to this guy. I can see him on the screen right now.
I was going to say, Jay, I think part of the problem, well, not part of the problem, but there's only 8 home games. Mm-hmm. There's 17 games in the season for football compared to 82 for basketball, 162 for baseball. So it's much more intense. Right, because there's such a limited quantity. Mm-hmm. It's like a rarity. So I think that's why it's just like a huge buildup for football, because it's just once a week. It's mostly Sundays. People are off. It's a big party.
And just look at the ratings across the United States on just NFL games compared to NBA and baseball. Like, NFL is king in this country.
Yeah, but I think if they continue to do what they've done, it's going to suffer. The fans are not going to tune in.
Yeah, well, at some point that's going to happen, but I'll believe that when I see it, only because, let's say this season continues to go down the drain and we have to suffer through even more crap this entire season. then and people get fired, people lose their jobs at the end. You know what storyline is going to run things while you switch over to the turn of the year, and that's when basketball really starts to heat up and
Draft.
MLB rumors. It's not and this team won't have much with draft, because if there are a bad team,
Got a
guess
point
what?
there.
Houston Texans get their pick. It's going to be, the storylines are still going to be, who are they going to hire in this position that they fired? Who are they going to hire in this position? Oh my gosh, they hired this great person. And now we're going to talk for 9 months about how much better this team is going to be. You can't talk about that until you actually see it. Don't talk about it, be about it. That's what the Guardians are doing. That's what the Cavs are doing. That's what Ohio State is doing, even not at their best. They find a way to win when it matters most. All of these teams we just talked about in the opening segment, to avoid talking about the Browns, was to make a point that no matter what, these teams are finding a way to win when it matters most, just like the Cavs did in overtime against the Celtics, just like Ohio State did in the fourth quarter this past Saturday, and the Guardians won so many games in walk-offs and in big moments in the wild card, and even in that series they lost to the Yankees in. The Browns find ways to lose. If they find a way to lose tomorrow night, boy, that 2 weeks between this Monday night game and the next game, I believe, against the Miami Dolphins in Miami, it is going to be, it better be just Cavs up front, because I won't be able to talk about, and I won't want to talk about Browns for 2 weeks when they're not even playing and the teams that actually care are out there in front. Now, we're going to talk to Andy Billman, who is also a Cleveland fan, but also has shed light on why fans feel like we do and what it meant, of course, in the documentary Believeland, what it meant when LeBron and the Cavaliers won in 2016, and why a lot of those elements in that documentary still hold true. And we'll talk about his next documentary coming out as well. That'll happen on the other side of the break. You are tuned into your Browns preview show, but really just Cleveland sports talk all through and through, all sports talk through and through, right here on the Voice of the Land on the Big Play Network.
Whether you're looking to hire new talent or start a new career, Vector Technical has you covered. Vector Technical is a 28-year-old staffing firm that has helped thousands of job seekers advance in their career with reputable partners throughout Northeastern Ohio. Vector Technical is more than just a temp agency. With an above-average hire-in rate of 1 in 4 candidates, Vector works hard to connect the right person with the right opportunity the first time. Vector Technical hires for skilled manufacturing and light industrial work and is sure to have a career that you've been looking for. To learn more, visit our website at www.vectortechnicalinc.com.
Welcome back to the Voice of the Land right here on the Big Play Network. Kevin Arnold, always positive, Jay, and Peter Telep along with you. And we are so honored to be joined right now by the director of one of our absolute favorite documentaries. But of course, we're always into the sports documentaries, but was gracious to come on here tonight. He is Andy Billman. Thank you so much for taking some time to join us here tonight. I know we were talking in the break. You have some strong thoughts about the Browns as well. Feel free to get those out, but thank you so much for coming on here tonight.
Well, thanks for having me on, and let's go Cavs up 3.5. Hopefully they can close it out here against the Knickerbockers. I think the Browns, to lead off with them, I just did a radio show, and I call them the Analytic Browns based in Cleveland, Ohio. They are the Analytics Browns based in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
They are very analytical. They do the same thing every game. They're not very hard to decipher. My son and I usually say, this is about a good time for an unnecessary pass. And, they are doing things that just drive you crazy. And then you watch the Ravens on a Thursday night game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers run it right down their opponent's throat. They run it right down against our throat last week, which is vomiting. And yet we don't seem to want to do that as a Browns organization. They're very analytical. I think this is a very deep situation where I've seen 1 in 31 with Sashi Brown. And I feel like we're back on that train where it's like we hear answers, but you can kind of tell. It's like, so what's going to happen next game? We're probably going to pass the ball a lot. It doesn't make sense. We're going to trade Kareem Hunt. That doesn't make it's just depressing.
So we've dubbed them the Sunday fun suckers. They will literally suck the fun out of every Sunday from you if you allow them to.
Well, again, it's the analytical Browns that are based in Berea, Ohio, based in Cleveland. And it's sad. I think they need a huge culture change. And I actually, emotion is a part of football. I think in baseball, it's very analytical at times.
Mm-hmm.
And there's too much analytics at times. And there's certainly that in basketball, there's 82 games and there's 162. Football's only 16, 17 now, 17 of these guys. And I was blown away by some of the comments that everybody was talked about when Stefanski said, hey, we've got our blinders on and, it's another game. This is the Bengals. It's not the Ravens. It's not the Steelers, but it's the Bengals. It's a battle for Ohio. It's Sam White, Boomer Esiason, Kosar my era. Tired of this, like, blah, 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 blah. These are big games. Win the games. The Battle of Ohio. Aren't you excited? I don't care about costumes and just want to win the game. And it just feels like at times these press conferences are it feels like we're more into it than the players are.
I don't even watch press conferences anymore. I refuse to because they don't tell you.
Well,
I don't think he's answered a question this whole year.
Yeah.
He just beats around the bush nonstop and then gives you the same thing over and over and over. And now it's just falling on deaf ears, I believe.
Yeah, I just think there needs to be a huge emotion push.
So,
and I actually think, I think if I were in there, I'd be like, I think we need to talk to Mr. DePodesta and really ask, are we going to do analytics Browns? Because analytics will tell you you're 2-5. You can do whatever you want to, and there's no emotion on this team. We need emotion back. And yes, these rivalry games are important to us. The Bengals is a rivalry. It's the Battle of Ohio. It is the Brown family, which our favorite team is named after, that owns the Bengals. There's a lot of history here. Not just another game.
How many Browns players do you believe actually know why the Browns are named the Browns? I can't tell you who, but I know someone that they had no clue. They're like, I have no idea. I thought it was just a color. I'm like, no, you don't even know the history of your team.
No.
And I promised I would never say who it was, but yeah,
well,
we always say, like, I think every player literally should watch Believeland. And I think they would get a greater appreciation for what the city's about and what the fans and why we feel the way we feel. Because they get upset when we boo. And I'm like, we boo because we care. Like,
well, yeah. I mean, the booing thing, look, we don't want to boo either, but we're just frustrated.
Yeah.
Don't take a person. Again, it's a business, not personal. We actually like you guys. It's not a dislike. It's just your performance on the field. That's how it works. Look, the Browns have a very great and rich history that doesn't get discussed, and probably because some of that is this is an expansion team that started in '99. Mm-hmm. Even though we have the team name, even though this history we know is much deeper than that, to a lot of people, it's just another team that was born in 1999.
It's
like not the case.
The culture stayed with the fans, but didn't stay with the team.
Well, yeah, I mean, truthfully, the Browns are a team that's black and purple that plays in Baltimore, and it's very, very frustrating to watch them play.
Yes, I can't stand the Ravens because of that.
Oh, I mean, it's just, anyways, I don't want to get too deep, but there is a huge thing for the Browns to me that this is not just a push the button, where it's like, hey, Deshaun Watson's coming back, and let's see what happens. I was one of the few fans, and I kind of got beat up for it, and it's fine. I thought I saw the writing on the wall after the Jacksonville preseason game. I just didn't see a lot of good things, and it really hasn't changed my mind throughout. I'm glad they beat Baker and the Panthers. I'm glad we beat the Steelers on Thursday night, but I just think there's a long road to go for this team when it comes to, like, how do you win games again, and how do you win a string of games to get into the playoffs? It's not about non-talent. It's not about anything like that. It's just simply about getting down to the foundation of, I feel like too much we're in an analytical team and not trying to win games and playing the emotion of the game. I just don't feel emotion sometimes in these games. And you can tell, yeah.
No, go ahead, Andy. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, my last point is I just think this is a very special organization and team. And if anybody's ever listening to this, it really means a lot to us. And the Battle of Ohio is the Battle of Ohio. It's not Cincinnati. It's Mike Brown and, Paul Brown's family coaching against us. It's a very, very emotional game. And I just feel like at times the Browns kind of walk through the emotions. Mm-hmm. I know they had a big argument after the game, which is good, but you'd like to see more of that in the field.
I think emotion is something we've talked about too. Emotion, you even watch after the game when the Browns post on Twitter or on social media, the after game speech, theirs looks a lot different. If you really look back in hindsight, it looks a lot different than other locker rooms. There is no emotion. It's the exact opposite than what does go on with the Cavs and what goes on with what went on with the Guardians and the teams wanting to be together and not just on the floor or in the stadium, but outside of it too. It just feels like everything is connected with two of the teams. This one is deeply disconnected, and we're just hearing the same talk after the game. If they lose this week, which we don't want to see, but if they lose this week, Andy, do you see, some sort of the owners jumping in again and trying to make some big move in the bye week, or are we just going to keep going until the end? And that's where we'll see Black Monday for us again.
Well, I mean, you're heading towards Pittsburgh annihilation. I mean, you're going to go into Pittsburgh and things are going to go down. I don't want people to lose their jobs either. See, I don't like talking about this stuff because I know jobs are on the line. Yeah. But frankly, there needs to be a huge check-in of I just feel like this organization is very driven by analytics.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of organizations that use analytics, but it feels like it's been forced a lot. Because this is not a disharmonized group. This is not groups we've seen in the past where you can tell the front office and coaching staff's not getting along. The Browns seem to get along.
Here's what drives me nuts about
their
analytics is I could go back and dude, I'm a public school kid and I could look at the plays and be like, oh, when we run the ball more than we pass the ball, we score. So you'd think those numbers would add up for them and they would see that the trend is, oh, when we run the ball more, it sets up play action, not pass to set up the run. It never works that way for us. It's never worked for us. If they look at, I don't see how they don't see the numbers where when you got an empty backfield on first down, when you have the best running back in the backfield, these guys are so much smarter than me. Why aren't they seeing what everybody else
That's
sees?
analytics. Analytics says you don't change things.
Yeah,
you
it drives
put
me
the
nuts.
Equations in and it spits it out. You don't change things. Kareem Hunt needs to be used in the fourth quarter late. That's crazy to me. Why don't you use Chubb and Hunt late in the game? Why not have both your star players in the game late in games?
What happened to screen pass to Hunt?
Well, screen pass to Hunt, but just simple decisions. And again, they do everything on formulas. They do everything on equations. And by the way, that's why I think sometimes you see good success in certain moments because their analytics does work. And if it's hitting on all cylinders, we've seen the results. But when something's off in the analytical equation, the Browns seem to have a very hard time making adjustments. They just seem to go back to and there's no emotions. It seems and certainly analytics is not teaching communication on defense at times.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I'm analytics out. This reminds me, even though they've won 2 games, it reminds me of 1-31.
It does. It really does. And there's, some of the same people. And that was kind of the question mark when Andrew Berry was brought in. And yes, I know that he's made some good moves, but it seems like, late round picks, even second to the end, haven't really come through. And we were all about JOK last year, but his sophomore year hasn't been very good. And some of these guys that are now on that 3-year grading period, these later round picks where you really make your money and you really make your team, haven't come through. It seems like analytics that they use, whatever numbers they're using, those are the numbers that are successful with other teams because they have different talent. They're going based off of the averages in the NFL, not what actually works for their team. I just don't understand why guys continue to come into this organization and want to act like they're smarter than everybody else instead of just doing what is right there in front of you.
Well, what is remarkable too, Kevin, is that they're using analytics. And Pro Football Focus will tell you is that our defensive tackles are having an awful year, awful year, and yet they're not going to sign Dominican Sue. They're not going to do other things. And okay, fine, but it's like Jordan Elliott. Sure, he's a nice kid. He's not playing well. The kid Brian we got from Jacksonville, he's not playing well. Like some of these things are just very clear and obvious.
No,
and I just can't explain it. I mean, look, nothing against the guy. Anthony Schwartz is not a good draft pick. It's not going to work out.
He's a track guy.
We've seen Greg Little. We've seen this before. Like we know. And it's like, I just put my head down when it's like, I know people were like, oh, but this is just a preseason. Schwartz won't be playing. Like, we'll see. But Schwartz has been out there a little bit, and that's not good. That's not what you want to see as a fan. And there's just been a lot of that this year where, to your point, they've been relying on their own analytics, but yet the Pro Football Focus stats, which I would assume they're similar, have been saying how badly some of these players have been playing. I don't know. It's been a very big mystery. They definitely dug their heels in, and boy, how annoying are the Knicks right now. Bronson going off. But I just feel like, I just hope that some emotion gets in this game because this is still a very important game. As an 80s kid, I don't like the Bengals. I know they're not like the other two teams, but they really have stuck in my craw over the years. And, I would like to see them take it to them and win this game. And I playoffs aside, I think I'm beyond that. Let's just win a game. Let's get some emotion back in the city and this town. And then we'll talk about playoffs and other things because to your other guys' point, I mean, I'm done with this. I'm very down on the draft. Even if they had a first round pick, I'm like, I don't want to talk about the draft. I don't want to talk about like, oh, Kareem Hunt's getting a fourth round pick. Great. So I get to look up Mississippi Valley State players now and check out like I just don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I just want to talk about here and today and win. And it's sad because I think obviously the biggest player in this is the Deshaun Watson thing, which is definitely divided the fan base. Anybody could tell you that from afar. So because of that, I think it's been a very odd, very, very, very odd Brown season.
Andy Billman, director of Believeland, and of course, War on the Diamond coming out soon. Joining us on the show, Andy, do you have a couple moments to join? Stay with us. We have a quick commercial break, and then
we'll talk positive things.
Yeah,
positive Jays here.
yes,
we're going. Look, the Cavs are good. Guardians had a great year. But just forget about the Breeze boys.
Trust me. I went on a rant last week. I got it all out, so we wanted to at least give you an opportunity to get more of it out because if it sits in there, it's never a good thing. So
that's right.
Andy Billman will stay with us here. We'll get into more positive things and just for Jay himself. Yeah. We'll get into more positive things on the other side and talk about Believeland and the upcoming documentary War on the Diamond. On the other side, this is the Voice of the Land on the Big Play Network.
Are you struggling to hire the right talent or maybe even find the right career? Vector Technical makes it easy. Since 1992, Vector has provided Ohio employers with a reliable process for hiring and have helped thousands of job seekers advance in their careers. Vector Technical is more than just a temp agency. We invest time to get to know each client and candidate personally. Vector places people in job opportunities that they are truly excited about. Interested in learning more? Visit our website at www.vectortechnicalinc.com to see a full list of our current job opportunities and to find out what Vector Technical can offer you.
Get your gear at voiceoftheland.com/shop.
Welcome back to the Voice of the Land, the Big Play Network, talking Cleveland sports with sports documentary director Andy Billman. Of course, directed the one that everybody has seen here in Cleveland. If you are a Cleveland sports fan, you have seen Believeland. Then the next one you're going to want to see. And we want to talk more positive things. We were talking Browns. We're going to move past that. I know Cavs are tied right now with the Knicks, 73-73. That might have changed since I just looked at my app. I got to try to keep the comments, if they come through, got to keep those up in front of me. But, Guardians had a great season with an unexpected season. Did you, first off, Andy, did you see this team having that ability?
Not to their heights, but I was one of the few people that thought they were good. I thought the whole tone of the offseason changed when Jose Ramirez got that contract. I think Jose Ramirez really represents the city and that team well. I love Jose. He's an excellent player. And for a guy like that playing injured all year, just speaks a lot to his ability. The one thing that I loved about this team, and I like about the Cavs a lot too, the Guardians really got it really well along. There was the Rosario, Ramirez, Oscar camp, and then you could see the Hedges, Quan, Straw camp, and I really liked watching that develop personality-wise. And then you have the Master Francona, but I think they were going to be better when people thought. I actually did. I kind of stated that, but never to the heights that I saw. I mean, they were just remarkable and such a fun team. That was the most fun I've had in a long time. Even in 16, it was great. I know 95, 96, 97 were awesome years for all of us. 98 too. But that team was probably the most fun. I just loved this team. I love Naylor. I love that game in Chicago. The Quan. Just love it. There's so many moments in that year that I can grab onto. And I know losing to the Yankees is awful and vomiting. And I did a film on it called War on the Diamond. coming out November 15th. Let me plug myself here. But going back to the play at hand, I mean, that was a great year. It was a lot of fun. The sky is the limit. And honestly, you got the feeling if a couple more things happened and maybe, you know, Savali was healthy a little bit more going to game 5.
Yeah.
You mean when I mean that is like he was healthy in game 5, but he didn't play really all year. And so, you know, I just to get the feeling they were very close to doing something very special. And they already did. That Tampa Bay win, the game 2, I was in game 2 for New York. The game 3 wins, those were all wins we'll always remember. And again, I was one of the few people that Chicago night with Josh Naylor was I mean, I watched the whole thing. That was unbelievable. One of my favorite regular seasons I've ever watched that game played.
Kevin stayed for the
win.
which game was that? Game 2 against the
all 15 innings. Yeah.
When Oscar hit the walk-off, he was there for the whole thing.
I learned my lesson because my wife and I, we were at the other 15-inning game during the regular season. And, you know, I had to be up early the next day for work. So we left after the 14th. We're like, okay, if they don't do it now, I don't know which team is going to come through. So we got to go. We got to get back home. And then we had a bunch of issues. So we start walking back towards the stadium and the fireworks start going off. And I was like, all right. She texted me during the game. She wasn't able to go at the wild card game. And she's like, this feels like another 15-inning game. And I'm thinking, if this goes 15 innings, I don't, you know, I'm going to stay. But like, oh boy, like sitting through that. And then, but it was, you know, of course the payoff was the ultimate with Oscar Gonzalez, who, you know, again, had a bit of that clutch gene and still a young player, still raw in his talent. And, you know, the Guardians, do we like the end? No. But bright future ahead. The Cavs are now in that position where we saw the bright future ahead last year, did more than people expected. Now there's a lot of expectations on this team, but you still love this team in the way that they're already gelling this year.
Yeah, the Cavs are a lot of fun. That was a huge win. I mean, you don't want to get too excited about October wins in India.
Right.
That was a very, very big win. I don't want to ever minimize that win. I thought it was a huge win too to beat Chicago by 30 plus points too. Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
I know the sky's the limit for the Cavs and the Guardians. I really mean that. And the Cavs are still not playing with a healthy deck. I mean, there's still no Garland, and there's still no Rubio. And when Rubio comes back, we forget him because we haven't seen him in a while. Rubio's a very special player when he's healthy, and a very, very good player. So the sky's the limit for both. But what I like is this: both teams. I'm not saying the Browns players are all unlikables. That's not true. But the Cavs and the Guardians, there's a lot of guys you can glom onto that you really like, and it makes it very, very easy. And you know, just switching to the Cavs for a quick second, Donovan Mitchell's been great. He really fits in the city well. I know he's a Connecticut, New York kid, but I would do whatever it takes, you know, and whenever the moment's right to get him long term.
For sure,
he really fits in the city well.
The thing
he's really well liked.
The thing excites me about the Cavs the most is we had such high expectations before the Mitchell trade, and everyone's like, you know, we'll win or get in the second round, win a series, and that was before the Mitchell trade. And now that we got this kid and people are seeing what kind of player he truly is, because I was unreal pumped about him. I mean, like you said, the sky's the limit. Like, I think they can come out the East.
He didn't also have like sour grapes either. No, thinking he was going to New York and thought he was going home. He went to a different team and he's not sulking or anything like that.
He bought in.
He's just buying in and knows he was probably brought to a better situation anyways. So he's buying in. And I think it's important that while October wins, you can't get too high on. I think it's important they're stacking wins with their injuries or the pieces that are missing, because it's a long season. You're going to see those downturns too. They're going to lose a couple in a row or something like that. But I think it's important they're stacking wins. And again, they're all having fun. So it'll be easier to get through those tough times.
Agreed. And look, there's goofiness that's going to happen. And I mean, even tonight, the Knicks are giving them their best shot. And that is different. The Cavs are going to get everybody's best shot. I mean, I'd be surprised if it's not. And that's it. But that prepares you for big success.
Yes.
Even with some losses. This is all about the battle to get the trophies and get the banners. So you got to take some losses. Like tonight's game against the Knicks, I'm not surprised. I kind of thought this was coming after such a high emotional win, playing a Knicks team that's very hungry, that usually plays very bad. They play a lot better in the first half of the season than the second half of the Knicks do. So I'm not surprised that they're getting a kind of a battle. And going back to the Guardians too, that's why when Francona, you know, they get these wins, you know, you laugh in May, and yes, it was a great moment for Naylor, but that was a win. They got that win. I mean, I think that took a lot of the White Sox that win.
Mm-hmm.
You know, during the year, they do it again to the Celtics. Maybe that takes a little bit out of the Celtics if they happen to play in the playoffs. Those are the things that you can really stack as the year goes on. So, to your term, Kevin, you're right. These are stackable wins, but not just wins and and the analytics of wins, but also emotion. I thought that White Sox loss was a really big win for the Guardians and a bad loss for the White Sox. And the same thing is true in the Celtics game. You're right, it's October, but it allows the Celtics to think, hey, if we don't play our best game, we could lose to the Cavs at home. That's a great mental edge for the Cavs. It's good.
Absolutely.
What do you want to see?
And you talked about, of course, we're in the game of if you're going to be in professional sports, you're in the game of hanging banners, putting rings on your finger, that type of thing. And that's kind of the story that the two versions, of course, when Believeland came out in 2016 and then had the edit with the Cavs winning the championship. That's what it was all about. That was to show fans why we're so into it. We want to see that. We don't want to see 52 years. For you, what was the, I guess, the motivation behind putting it together? What was the message you wanted to get out with it? And, what has been the response to it, even to this day, as people continue to talk about that documentary?
Well, I mean, I got hired out of University of Toledo at ESPN. So one of my early days at ESPN, man, the Knicks are making every shot. God.
I love this so much.
They're up 7. The miracles of the internet is you can do a Zoom and watch the Cavs on the other screen. So Cavs down 7. But anyways, when I was doing in my early days at ESPN, I sat around a bunch of people, and one of the first questions you get asked is, "What kind of fan are you?" Obviously, so 2002, everybody went around the room, and there's a lot of Boston and New York, some other teams. But when it came to me, I go, "Well, I'm a Cleveland sports fan." And one gentleman goes, "Why would you do that?" I go, "I'm sorry." I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, "Cleveland sounds terrible." I'm like, "It's really not. Like, I had a great fandom, had some tough times, but I really enjoy my teams." And from that really stuck in my head for a long time working there. And I loved ESPN. It was a great company. They treated me so well. But that moment stuck in my brain. So when I was given the opportunity to direct the film, I kind of took it through my emotions and what it was like to be a fan and things I was told and things I grew up in. I mean, again, I grew up in the high 80s, so that was awesome for a Browns fan, and obviously too for the Cavs a little bit with Price, Doherty, and Nance and Elo. But on the other end of it too was like the Indians and major league years and bad losses. So I just want to talk about how much of heartstrings it plays in that city, because I really believe sports is a major faction in the city. It just does, and I think that film proved that.
It totally points out,
but economically.
Because I made my fiance watch, and she's not a sports person. I'm like, you still need to watch this because this is our town. I'm like, watch how it points out how our economy does. It goes right with our teams, and the teams lift the people up big time.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, again, the economic dollars of LeBron, the economic dollars of, I mean, the biggest one to me could have done a whole thing was Gateway.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Gateway changed everything. It's amazing how that just spurred on the Indians, now Guardians, to the winning.
My dad was a crane operator for all that. So,
it is.
Yeah, like that. All that work actually propelled our family income a lot. So,
oh my God, yeah, and like, the other one too that we don't talk about enough, Rock and Mortgage is one of the best arenas in the NBA.
Oh yeah,
it is a fantastic facility. It gets talked about a lot by high-end people who aren't from Cleveland, saying, "Man, this is a magnificent facility."
I mean, I rank the stadiums. I think I'll call them by their original names: Jacobs Field, then Rocket Mortgage, and then that football stadium on the lake is terrible. I'm sorry, because they were forced to make it.
We're staying all positive here, Jay.
It's so bad. I mean, it might be because I sit in the 500s.
Jay, positive got flushed. Sorry.
Yeah, my dad helped build it. I'm just ripping on it.
No, but I know what you're saying. I'll say this though. I've done this too long. Browns start winning games. That stadium looks a little better.
Yeah.
Feeling a little better on the lake.
I just want my food warm when I buy it there. That's all I care
about. I hear you.
So,
kind of a clunky walk, kind of cold, but you know what? You're skipping if you're 5-2.
I ended up
you're feeling pretty good.
So
I will say I play some big. That's why I laugh when we talk about uniforms. I'm like, just win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Win a game.
Winning solves everything.
Everything.
Andy, before we touch on, of course, talking about what's coming out with War on the Diamond, I do want to touch on, one more piece of Believeland that really touched home for me. And that was in the, like the redo of it or the edit of it when the Cavs did win, and the focus of, the people that were interviewed and spending Father's Day either at the game or watching that somehow, and fathers with their sons or their daughters, and watching the Cavs win that day. Was that part of when you added that piece at the end, of course, showing that the Cavs finally ended the drought after what the original documentary showed, but was part of that to kind of show that that generational fandom too here in Cleveland?
Look, you didn't even need to like set it up. And what I mean by that is it was natural. It was organic. What I was really impressed by going into Game 7 was the outside of for seeing people standing in an open garage to watch a game across the street on a big jumbo television in between Progressive Field and the queue at that time. That was crazy to me.
Did you go
That
for
was
the
so crazy
parade?
to me. It was actually even for Game 7. There were people in the garage just they just wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And so they were just watching the television. They had this television set up in the lawn. So like there's people in the lawn, obviously. And then there are people in the garage who were watching this screen too. And there were kids. It was just so Cleveland. Your kids are there, your mom's there, granddad's there. We're all sweating it out. It just was organic. That I didn't even have to make it up. I knew what was going to happen. And it did. And it was just amazing. We are a very big family town in sports. Whenever my brothers and dad and mom and I get together, we always talk about the teams. And then about 30 minutes later, we can talk about what's really going on. Because, I mean, that's just how it works. It's a very unique city. And I'm not saying other cities don't have it, but Cleveland, it is a big heart. It's a big part of the blood of the city is these teams.
I probably watched Believeland 10 times. The end of that thing still chokes me up and tears me up every single time when they win it. And it just, like I was telling Kyle, it just gets me in my feelings. I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing every single time. So hats off to you, my friend, because it gets me every time. I absolutely love that. And I'm really looking forward to you.
I think I lost 10 pounds in that game. I
had to stay home and watch it by myself. Games like that, I can't be around people. I solely watch games like that by myself.
Me too. It's a special game. That I have I'm getting remarried. My fiance is not a Cleveland fan, and I made her watch it. And she goes, she gets blown away because I live in Connecticut, but I go back to Cleveland quite a bit. And then someone I'll wear a Guardian shirt. He goes, Cleveland, just unbelievable. Your fan base.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable. It really is. For people who don't travel outside, you can walk in Madison, Connecticut. I guarantee you, I ran into someone the other day. She was from Shaker Heights. We started talking. Next thing you know, we started talking some more. She goes, I can't watch the Browns, but the Guardians were still making a run at that point. It happens throughout everywhere. It's amazing. It's not just in Cleveland. You go to other places. We stand out and we always talk sports, even if it's just 10 seconds at the bar in the cafe. We'll talk for a few minutes and break it down. Amazing.
The other fan base we love to talk to too is Yankees fans, but that's smack talk. That brings us to your
fun though to have that back.
I love having.
They don't like us. I like the whole thing. I'm glad they're mad. I'm glad Naylor made them mad. Good.
Yes.
I like rivalries.
Like I don't take it like some people get a little crazy with the rivalries. Like all my dad's family's from Michigan, so the Ohio State, Michigan. Like I have fun. We had fun with it. We don't take it to the like crazy part and trying to fight people and stand and stuff. But I love talking smack to Yankees fans. And when I heard you came out with this documentary, I'm like, I'm sold already. This dude's got me again. Tell us about your documentary coming out here.
Well, it's called War on the Diamond. Go into waronthediamond.com and check it out. And there's a wonderful book. It's called The Pitch That Killed. And I was pitched it during the pandemic, and a production team approached me and they said, would you like to direct this film? I go, I would. And for people who don't know, The Pitch That Killed is Ray Chapman, who played for the Cleveland Indians back in 1920, was struck by a pitch by Carl Mason, and he died. He's the only major league player to ever get hit by a pitch in play and died later on. So what I said is like, I'd like to do the film and talk about what happened and the tragedy. But I'd like to get into the bigger meaning of Guardians and then Indians and Yankees history. There's a long of it.
Mhm.
I was taught as a fan early on to hate the Yankees. We made Yankees about it. And so like I was taught from then on. So I got into the Feller DiMaggio stuff, which they were close friends. The Feller bitterly hated New York and hated the Yankees. We got into 48 and 54. The integrated Indians beating the segregated Yankees was a big storyline. Later on, then we sadly we had what happened with Herb Score, who was hit by a liner by Gil McDougall in 57. And then later we get into the George Steinbrenner 70s years when Steinbrenner grew up in Bay Village, tried to buy the Indians in 71. Sadly did not end up buying the Yankees in kind of revenge. And well, the rest is history. And then that one.
Yeah.
And then so we get into what happened with George and why did it fail, and what ended up happening with the Yankees. And then we obviously get into the 90s years with 97, 98, bug game in 2007, and away we go.
Still,
the biggest thing is
the top
there's a lot of
favorite game right there, the Midge game. I love it.
Bug game's fantastic. It's fantastic. But there is a lot of memory between these two teams. And again, something I state, but you guys know this. We're not trying to compare Red Sox and Yankees to Indians Yankees. That's not fair. Because Red Sox Yankees is a wonderful rivalry, and that's not fair to those teams. But what I'm saying is there's a lot of history between Indians and Yankees, and it's very deep. And it all started to me with a pitch that happened between Chapman and Mays. And ironically, the Indians went on to beat Babe Ruth and the Yankees that year to win the AL pennant and ended up winning the World Series. It's amazing.
I've heard of this documentary, and several people have kind of mentioned that something like this was going to be coming. And then when I saw that you were the one directing, I was like, I'm definitely in. My wife and I, we actually got married in May, and we got married on the field at League Park. And so we had
wow.
We had the first ever wedding that they knew of at that place, especially since the city of Cleveland took over, and then we had a baseball theme reception and all that. So like baseball runs deep in my family. So I've been in knowing the emotions that's like Jay said, tip of the cap to you, like the emotions that we got out of Believeland, and like how deep I was brought up to be a Cleveland fan, and now to have like this baseball, especially the story between the Indians and the Yankees, and of course now the Guardians and the Yankees, but Cleveland baseball versus New York Yankee baseball. I think that, kind of telling the story, what is the main thing that baseball fans can expect out of this without giving too much away? What is the main thing that maybe people didn't know about that they can expect to see out of this documentary?
There's a lot of history between these two teams. They're still very tied today, because as long as there was a Bay Village family called the Steinbrenners owning the Yankees, it's a rivalry. There's a lot of history between these two teams. And I think, I'm not trying to say proof is in the puddings, that's talking so egotistical, but we did win Best Documentary in Boston. And I think to win a Best Documentary in the Boston Film Festival says a lot.
Yeah.
And I was very taken back by that award. I've done a lot of films. I've never won Best Picture or Best Documentary at any film festival until then. And that meant a lot. So I think that is what I'll say to people. I think there's a lot of people who enjoyed it, a lot of people who learned a lot from it. And if you're watching this and you're not even a Guardians or Indians fan or whatever, I think you'll really get a kick out of it. I think it's a lot about the history of baseball, the importance of the game, and why these things matter, and why baseball was the national pastime for a long time. It's not anymore, but why it was and what makes the game so special.
Why I appreciate this document coming out too is a lot of these younger guys, they don't really understand, they don't know the history of baseball. The other day I went in and the kid's 30 years old. I go, "Oh, did you see the Netflix documentary on Nolan Ryan?" And he goes, "Who's Nolan Ryan?" What? I'm like, "You're a sports fan and you don't know who Nolan Ryan is?" I'm like, baseball is failing us, man. Like,
I can top that story. I went to Seattle last year for my sister's wedding. She lives out there, and we went to one of their soccer games at the football field, and we wanted to take a walk around the baseball stadium, at least to kind of see what we could see inside. My wife and I, we would love to do a around the MLB parks trip if we could. Sure. And we see the statue of Ken Griffey Jr. and we're just kind of like walking past it. We're going over to the corner of the street where our ride share is going to be picking us up at. And we kind of pass a mother and daughter, and my wife heard this, and the daughter asked her mom, who is that? Who's that statue of, mommy? And she goes, I don't know, some baseball player. Like
Ken Griffey Jr. was,
yeah.
you grew up the same time I did. He was a rock star.
Yeah. So, and
I'll
like
put
Cleveland
Jack on the
fans,
map,
like,
by the way.
everybody loved Ken Griffey Jr. too. That
how
was,
could you not?
yeah, that guy is just a class act.
Yeah. So Andy, we could talk probably all night long about this. We would love to have you come back on once the film kind of comes out and people have seen it, kind of talk through some of the details, some of the things that we like, and in more detail on that. But thank you so much for coming on here tonight. You're always welcome here on the Voice of the Land, and just tell people where they can follow you, and of course the release date of War on the Diamond when that comes out again.
November 15th is War on the Diamond. You can go to @WarOnTheDiamond or WarOnTheDiamond.com. You can follow me on Official Cleveland Sports. I'll be on after this game. Hopefully the scoreboard's turned around. Official Cleveland Sports. And then if you guys want to talk to me more, I'll be with Stipe and many others tomorrow night.
Do you need tickets? Do you need to pay for tickets to get to that beforehand?
You do, but you get lots of free food and adult beverages.
Where do you go to get tickets for this?
You can get tickets for it if you go to Official Cleveland Sports and click on my link and use the promo code OCS_Stipe. You get 10% off. Hang out. We can talk about my favorite Believeland moments. We'll talk about whatever you want.
Might be making it down there tomorrow.
Please do. Look, maybe I'll bring some DVDs with me.
Maybe
I'll bring some a few autographs and stuff. But no, please come down. Stipe's there. He's the star of the show. I'm just a little guy in the corner. We're going to do Browns trivia. We're going to do a Browns ladies trivia contest. I think the ladies need a trivia contest. I think it's nice. There's a lot of women fans in Cleveland. And I think it'll be fun to do something different like that. But thank you guys for having me on. War on the Diamond, November 15th, Official Cleveland Sports. Stipe and I and many other friends tomorrow night for Monday Night Football.
Did you have an Instagram account you wanted to plug?
Yeah, Official Cleveland Sports.
All right, that's it.
Official Cleveland Sports. See right there? Look at you guys. You did a nice job. Official Cleveland Sports.
Yeah.
You come check me out. We'll be talking Cavs after this game.
Awesome.
We'll have a good time. And you know what? Even though it's the Analytics Browns based in Cleveland, Ohio, go Browns.
Yes.
Go
We'll be rooting for you hard.
Go Cleveland, always. Go Cleveland. Cleveland first. In the front of our heart. Thank you so much, Andy, for coming on tonight.
Yes,
we really appreciate it. Andy Billman, director of Believeland, and of course of the new documentary coming out. War on the Diamond coming out November 15th. WarOnTheDiamond.com to get more details on where you can catch that when it does come out. And of course, at Official Cleveland Sports on Instagram, they do always go live on there after each Cleveland game to talk about it. Go over to the Instagram account and then get the promo code to head over to Stipe's Monday Night Football event that he will be at. We are way late for our last break. We were going to get that in. We're going to do a quick segment to end the show. Maybe it'll be our quickest segment. I'm not going to tout that like I did last time. This is the Voice of the Land, the Big Play Network.
Are you looking for a career in manufacturing? Vector Technical has you covered. Vector Technical is a 28-year-old staffing firm that has partnered with some of the biggest and the best companies throughout Northeastern Ohio. The recruiters at Vector Technical will coach you through the entire job process and will help you land an opportunity that you are truly excited about. Vector does not add any additional fees and offers benefits as well as free online skills training through Penn Foster. To learn more, visit www.vectortechnicalinc.com and make sure to check out our job board to see a full list of our current opportunities and apply.
Welcome back one final time this Sunday evening, last Sunday in October, to the Voice of the Land on the Big Play Network. Kevin Arnold, always positive Jay, Peter Tubb, our audio, our producer extraordinaire, who did a great job of putting the social media handles for Andy Billman, who just joined us. If you missed it, again, we'll post the clips throughout the week and, leading up to November 15th release date of War on the Diamond. Go to WarOnTheDiamond.com to get more details on it. And then Jay will text the group about more details about the event with Stipe. But I know it's going to be a great Halloween event. It's a Monday Night Football event. There's food, tickets at Official Cleveland Sports on Instagram. There is a promo code on there. Andy Billman will be live, and I'm sure he'll be talking about it too as he talks Cavs. Go to at Official Cleveland Sports once this Cavs game ends. I know they're losing right now. Hey, you can't win them all. It's an 82 game
over
season,
till it's over.
But it's never over till it's over with a Cleveland team. So if you're still tuned into that and you came back to this on replay, thank you so much. And hopefully you're more excited because the Cavs won But even when the Cavs lose, it doesn't feel anywhere near as bad as when the Browns lose because they redefine what it means to lose. Final segment here, though.
We got big announcements, don't we?
We got big announcements, then I got just like a very quick rant. Jay, your big announcement first.
All right, Kevin. I told you I was going to debate this for a while and mull over for the week. I had 2 weeks, so I was off. I am now a fan of Manchester United.
Oh,
let's go,
boy.
baby.
Man.
You're going to have to teach me what I need to know, so I'm not going to try to be the fan you are. But one day, I hope to be the fan. See, now everyone at the ESPN crew are all picking teams. I'm like, I just can't go against my guy. I got to go with this team.
Hey, it's a good time to jump on. It seems like they're finding their groove. I will say that there has been a stretch of time being a United fan that has felt not nearly as bad, but a little similar to being a Browns fan, with them finding ways to lose or having a lot of talent and making those subtle little mistakes. But I feel like they're in the right direction. They have a manager who told one of the greatest players of all time, if not the greatest player of all time, Cristiano Ronaldo, to go home because he pouted when he wasn't put into a match this year. He told him to go home, basically suspended him for a game. He came back in. He's like, oh crap, someone's actually holding me accountable. The rest of the team's like, whoa.
Oh, yeah.
We're holding the top player, the best player in the history of this long time loved sport overseas. We're holding him accountable. All right. Like, we got something. We can respect this guy. So I think that was a small but big moment as well. And again, they are trying to climb back after losing their first 2 games, and everybody was continuing to make fun of United this year. They are climbing the table in the Premier League. They're doing good in their European tournament in the Europa League. They have 4 games before the World Cup. Guys, World Cup is going to be talked about on the show. I don't care. Like, if people tune out, I don't care. I'm going to post all those clips. We are going to talk World Cup because there's going to be some epic games. And to get that leading into the holiday season, chef's kiss.
I just thought it was funny because I was so excited to tell you about me. I was like, all right, Kevin will really get.
Oh,
and then comes in with these Manchester United gear on. I'm like, this is perfect. This is perfect. So they're red and black then.
Yes, red and black.
That.
They're known as the Red Devils, but most of the teams really don't go by their like how it's the Cleveland Cavaliers, their nickname.
They go by the city or whatever.
They go by yeah. I mean, I know that Emmett Golden from ESPN Cleveland, who's been a Tottenham fan for a little while now, he jumped onto the bandwagon of soccer from FIFA and played with Tottenham a lot. Then started watching them, started YouTubing what it like.
Hey, Tottenham, going down.
They do call themselves Spurs or Tottenham Hotspurs. Like, they do go by that. They're one of like the few teams, mostly if you say Manchester, it's either Manchester City or Manchester United, Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool. They don't really go by their nicknames as often. So, but I would say follow what Emmett did. Go on YouTube and kind of look up the history of the team and just soccer in general. There's a lot of good stuff.
When I go on YouTube, I have you. It's like,
I can only
Kevin, want to talk soccer?
Yeah.
Like, I don't need YouTube. I got you, man.
If anybody's watching, I just kind of like blush a little bit. Yeah. Another reason to blush though is, and to kind of get that bright smile on the face. It's not like I'm breaking the news here on the show. The news is already broke on social media today, and you guys knew beforehand, of course. But Jana and I are. We are so excited because we are going to be welcoming our first kid come May of next year. We are expecting our first kid, and it is a great time. I always wanted to be a dad, and we try to think about like how to announce it. I almost thought about doing like the dad look, the button-up shirt tucked into the jean shorts and the Nike Air Monarchs and stuff. But
you did it perfectly.
Yeah, we did it with Marvel. I can't put Air Monarchs on my feet. There actually was a point where that's all my family could afford. Like, freshman year of high school, I was wearing Air Monarchs before like they became the dad shoe, because that's all my family could afford. And I was gracious to have anything that I could get on my feet. Like, I have no issues with it. You guys know who I am with shoes. And like, I couldn't put those on my feet after. I can't go back to that. But yes, we are really excited. Both of our families are really excited. It'll be the first grandkid for both families. And I'm kind of
the young Avengers are starting to assemble. Right?
yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
The young Avengers are starting to assemble.
And if I know you guys are going to have the entire Avengers team eventually.
we probably will, and I'm sure with Halloween just being tomorrow, I'm sure there'll be family costumes where one year will be Avengers. But
I can't wait to like see you guys going to like a soccer game with all these kids and like on a minivan. You'd be like, Arnold's assemble.
You know what's funny about that, to kind of tie it both together? Jan and I have been talking about having kids for a while. We both wanted to be parents, and that's something we talked about early on. That's why that's kind of one way we knew each other was that person, just because we were able to have those conversations. And I said, like, if my kids play soccer, great. I'm not going to force them to play soccer. She has gotten to the point where she says, our kids are playing soccer. And it's not going to be the only sport, but if they want to, they're going to play soccer. And if they need a coach, you're going to coach them. And I'm not really big on coaching my own kids. You
don't want to, I don't know.
I will say I will coach my kids if there is no one else in the community to coach them. And it's whatever, if it's soccer or another sport, I will help out, because I want to be there for my kids.
But I believe the best way is you have someone outside coach the kids, and then you're coaching them on the side. So they're getting double coaching.
Yeah, I don't.
That's it. Unless the other coach sucks, then you just kick him to the side.
Well,
and take
no,
over his job.
That's where like lines get blurred, though, because you see some parents like doing that where they're coaching their kid, but it's the stories where they're trying to get them to do something different than the coach is asking.
Well, I'm saying
them to
like
do.
Just learn the fundamentals and stuff.
And that's the type of person I would be. I would never undermine a coach. Like I would never say anything bad against like any. I've coached at Wycliffe before, and they're having so much success. Like, what is there bad to say? But like, even if I disagreed when I went to a game, like I could never do that. Like, that's what their program is built on. That's what you should listen to. And I think it. I've had the experience of being that coach that was outside of the parents to coach some of these kids, and then it's built so many great relationships. Like, I'm hoping to kind of have that moving forward too. So that would be tremendous. But yes, we are expecting our first child. And we are so excited to finally be able to say that to everybody and get through the first round.
Congratulations.
Yes,
congratulations. Very excited for you.
Now you can go to toy stores again.
And not look weird.
Lego set for you.
There it is. Not look weird.
Like when I go shop, I know what you're talking about, because I always feel weird when I'm by myself buying my nephews like gifts. I'm like, dude, why? I feel like this like old man buying a Lego set. Then again, I probably still wouldn't.
Well,
I'd buy a
I don't
set
think it's that big of a deal anymore, honestly. But I was gonna say the shoes. If you really want to go for the dad look, you got to get the pristine white New Balance.
Oh yeah,
all leather.
Yeah. I know what. Yeah,
you ain't ever going dad shoes. I know you. No. Tiffany won't let me go dad shoes,
even though they won't be able to wear them for a while. I did not do this. I don't care if you guys believe me or not. Jana bought the kid LeBrons. Like an old, like a toddler LeBrons or baby LeBrons. She bought our kid LeBrons
before he's even born.
Before they're even born.
That's what's up.
And I know again it'll be a while before they can actually put them on. We found them cheaper because they're like an older model, but they're still in great condition. And she's like, if we can find the adult shoes, like the adult version of them, you got to wear the same shoes as your kid.
I told you earlier, man. Uncle Jay is coming through some gear for the kid.
I know. I appreciate
That's
that.
why I don't have kids. I get to spoil everybody else's kids now. It's fun.
I know every guy says that they're lucky, or every significant other says that they're lucky. Like I'm one of those people that get to say I'm beyond lucky to have Jana in my life and to have a kid.
Kevin, I love you, but she's the better half.
I say that to everybody too. Don't worry. I admit
I know you know it's true.
I was gonna go on a rant at the end of the show. We're kind of like way late.
We'll save it for next week. We still got time.
We can save it for next week.
All right.
I think we can save it for
you
next
have to pay
week.
attention.
I know it's a bye week.
Tune in next week to hear this epic rant, because it's going to be a good one.
It's a bye week. We're covering some soccer games, some all-star soccer games next week. But Peter, we can do a show, right?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Because I think the second game's at 2.
Yeah, it's only at Hawkins, so it's not like
it's not far. I think one's at 12, one's at 2, so we should be fine.
All right, I got an epic rant, but it's not it's not sports related. That's all I'll say. We're going to save that for next week because we got to get out of here.
I might be in this rant because you got me all fired up before the show, too.
Jay's got a significant other. Peter's got a significant other and kids. I got a significant other that's pregnant. We got to make sure we get home and spend time with our family, too. So, and making sure everybody can tune out to go spend time with their family on the rest of their Sunday night before Halloween. Happy Halloween to everybody based from us here at the Voiceland. Hopefully everybody's had some safe celebrations to this point and stay safe through tomorrow
Cavs
night.
up by 2 with 5 minutes left.
Cavs. That's why you never say die as a Cleveland team. So a good game going on. Make sure you tune into the Cavs. Tune in the Browns because we're always going to do that. Go Browns tomorrow night. It is Monday Night Football. Thank you again to Andy Billman for joining us. If you missed it, go back to Voice of the Land podcast on YouTube. We'll have clips. We'll have the full show.
Andy Billman is a guy who's not about it. He is about it.
Yeah, he doesn't talk about it. He is about it. For a guy that is about it, doesn't just talk about it, always Positive Jay. In another one, wherever he may be, audio or Peter Tellep. I'm Kevin Arnold, reminding all of you sports fans, don't let anyone ever tell you it's just a game. We truly love you all 3,000 as we build the Young Avengers on the Arnold side of things. And as our great late friend Mike Allen always used to say, and we will continue to say, live life, all gas, no brakes. If there's something you really want, go for it. This has been the Voice of the Land, your Browns preview show that is a post-game show right here on the Big Play Network. We'll see you next week.